Imogen has been very specific. I've got to talk for at least 21 minutes to beat Richard. I'm going to start by quoting Sir Richard Green. Please don't stare at me, it's very disconcerting. For those who don't know me, I'm Mel Jones and I'm a stage 4 melanoma patient at the Marsden. James Larkin is my consultant. I was born and brought up in Aberystwyth on the Welsh Riviera. We had some Italian tourist board sponsorship, so we need a bit of Welsh, I thought. As a small child, I can remember getting badly burnt on several occasions and having calamine lotion applied. When I was a teen... Was that the 5-minute? As a teenager, I held various jobs in the summer vacations from school and university as a deck chair attendant, lifeguard, beach cleaner, and generally working on my tan. My only excuse was that we didn't realize the real risks in those days. But life caught up with me, and in 1995, I was diagnosed with malignant melanoma. Like most men, it was on my torso. I'd thought I just had a mole that was catching on my belt and was bleeding. I went to my GP, who unfortunately had never seen a melanoma before, so he cut it out, not knowing any better. Fortunately, he did send it away for biopsy, and it came back as malignant. I think he was more upset than I was. I just didn't understand. Anyway, I was referred for a wide excision. I saw a consultant oncologist, a nice old guy who basically said, let's just hope it doesn't come back. 6 months later, it was back in my groin. This was early 1996, and the oncologist had retired, and Julia Newton-Bishop had taken over. And I didn't really want to just wait, having had stage 3 melanoma. Julia told me that my life expectancy then was probably 2 years if I was lucky. And that was a huge shock. I was relatively young, had a young family. And so I talked to Julia about what treatment options were available then. And there weren't many. There was surgery. There was high-dose interferon for 2 years, which basically meant that you had really nasty flu for 2 years. But it didn't seem to do much good in terms of improving survival. But there was a clinical trial in the States, and Julia and I talked about that, and she helped me enroll in a vaccine trial at Santa Monica at the John Wayne Cancer Institute. So I went out there for 2 months. I had the vaccine trial, and whilst I was there, the trial was extended to include St George's in London. So I was able to transfer my treatment back to the UK for another couple of years. At that stage, the trial was deemed to be unsuccessful and closed. But I'm still here. I was NED for 18 years, so I think the trial may have helped. We don't really know, because a lot of stage 3 patients, something like 20 to 30%, will have no further problems. So I may have just been lucky, or it may have been the vaccine, or it may have been the BCG that my leg of the trial had. Anyway, I was NED for 18 years, and it was a bit of a shock in the autumn of 2014 when the disease came back. It was a bit self-inflicted. I was in the gym, and I walked into the handlebar of a static bike, and it was right on my wide excision site on my side. It bruised up very badly, and within a few weeks, I had a small lump there. We believe that what happened was there were some cancer stem cells dormant, and the increased blood flow caused them to wake up. Anyway, at that stage, I transferred my care to the Marsden. This was early 2015. During 2015, I was stage 3, and I had 3 rounds of surgery, wide excisions, in-transit metastases, local recurrences at a total 7 sites. If I take my t-shirt off, you'll see that I look a bit like a knife fighter with all my scars, but at least they're hidden. The surgeon told me that the surgery was palliative, and it was just a question of time because the disease was metastatic. It was in my blood system. And he was proved right when my scans at the end of 2015 showed that I had distant lymph node involvement and that there was something distinctly dodgy with my lung. So I chose to go on monotherapy pembro. I had the choice of targeted therapy. I had the choice of co-funding for Ipi-Nivo, but I chose the monotherapy pembro because it was a lot cheaper, Coming from Wales, we've got to look after our pennies. And there were several other reasons as well. But I've been very lucky. I've had 7 doses of Pembro so far. After 4 doses, I had scans. And the good news was that all but one of my pre-existing metastases had shrunk. And the one that hadn't was quite small anyway. Unfortunately, and there's always a but, I had a new growth in my stomach, a soft tissue mass that was partially blocking my gastric outlet. That's now been biopsied, and on Wednesday I was supposed to ring up and get my results. Some of you know from Melanoma Mates that didn't happen, that the results weren't available, and I was a bit annoyed about it. Particularly when my oncology nurse said that I would have to wait until Monday to get the results because she was busy on Thursday in clinics and that she didn't work on Fridays. Anyway, today I just happened to be checking my email earlier, and my oncology nurse, who doesn't work on Fridays, had gone into work to check my results. I think she had some other things to do as well, but she was in work, she checked, they were good, my biopsies were benign. And she sent me the email, which I thought was a great example of what we want from the NHS, people going that extra mile. So I'm very pleased today, and I would just like to leave you with a couple of mantras. Firstly, treat each day as a blessing, enjoy it, because none of us know how long we're going to be here for. And the other mantra that I would leave you with is prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. Thank you.